hallo. Dude. Bass. Hallo, Eivind. Kanskje annonsere det en gang til, eller skal vi lage stygge basser og robotlyder?
Hallo!
Fy faen. Det er Sørlie.
Da er det foredrag med Kaktusen. Spontanforedrag om hvordan man lager barsk bass. I hvilke verktøy har du tenkt å bruke, Magnus?
Ableton Live og Massive.
Ableton Live og Massive. Siden jeg har mer volumen enn deg, Magnus, så roper jeg det høyt. Stig på!
André Hol, kom deg på plass.
Ja. Jeg er utsatt til morgen.
Vent litt til, eller? Ja, det er ferdig nå. Det er akkurat ferdig. Og resultatet er sånn. Det som er sinnssykt kult med den er at du kan gjøre sånn. Wow. Insane. Nei, vi bare setter i gang, vi. Vi skal ikke bare lage... Massive er hovedverktøyet mitt til å lage alt mulig fra kjempefine, bløte padder og plinky-plonk-lyder til styggedomsbass og helvete. Jeg skal også gå gjennom en del hvordan gjøre... Hey Frank, what are you going to do? Shall I do it in English? You want to learn how to make insane bass? I see we have some other people. I'm going to take this in English anyway. Because it makes me sound almost more professional or something. Massive is my main tool for making noise, and Ableton Live is my Ableton Live is my composing tool. We're going to use both the Massive synth in its as a standalone device, and to show how you can manipulate samples both from the synth and for example drum samples and combine them to make new awesomeness. So we can start out with the bass. Massive, every synth, almost everything in traditional music, in traditional sound design, the sound starts in the oscillators, as I've shown you for the people that watched my seminar on Reason. We start over here. This is the oscillator. The thing about Massive is that it has very, very, very many different sounds or sources for the oscillator to choose from, different waveforms. And they are also sorted into something called wavetables. A wavetable is it's a static. It contains many different waveforms within itself, and you can sort of scan through them. I can just show you. For example, Carbon and Massive it's instant for those of you who like Transformers. It's instant Decepticon. A little more. And this is just one oscillator. The secret lies in variation with, for example, LFOs and envelopes, which I'm going to show you, to make the sound move as it does when you... So we can start out with an LFO. This is a much clearer definition, or you can see how an LFO works. The sine wave that you can see over here, you can assign this to, for example, the commercial. Uh, no commercial value Norwegian TV. We now assign our LFO to this wavetable position, and we can define the range. And when I now press the single button, it moves on its own. I should just you always want when you're making insane bass monsters, you want the level on the decay to be at maximum. So the sound, the volume of the sound or the gain remains constant. Now this is a little bit fast, so we can slow it down. Cool, but a little bit slow. Okay, sounds like something. As you can see, and we have different waveforms as you can see, it's the scrapyard. And you have stuff that it's you can make all kinds of crazy stuff. And for every one of you who is wondering how Skrillex does his bass, the mouth bass, here it is. It's the only secret. There you have Skrillex. No, a little bit more. But. So we'll start out with the carbon. I like this one. Making basses in Massive is almost you don't know what you're doing every time, but you know certain points, certain elements that you like to use and combine. And the entire secret of discovering, that's why I say discover and not creating new sounds in Massive, because you stumble upon so many different combinations. That's, mind-blowing. So I don't actually know entirely what I'm doing right now, but we'll just, I know some cool tricks, and we'll try to see what we'll get out of them. Right, that's cool. Now we can assign, for example, an LFO, a new LFO, to the tempo of the last LFO. So we'll go into LFO number 5, and we connect number 6 to the number 5 tempo. That means the tempo of number 5, how fast this cycle is repeating, is variated by yet another LFO. We can speed a little bit too much. Already you have a lot of movement. And we can let that stay for a while, and then we'll add another oscillator. I'm turning off the first oscillator because I want to hear my next oscillator, which now sounds incredibly exciting. Wow. So we'll take the scrapyard. And now I want an envelope instead of an LFO, because the LFO repeats over and over and over again. But we want the sound to just bounce down and hit a level and stay there. So I'll use the envelope, so you can shape the sound here. And I assign, every time I drag, as you can see, I drag the colors. That's the range of the envelope or the LFO. And as you can hear, it starts out and it goes slowly to the lower level. And can increase the range. And I can adjust the ending points. Or not. And the cool thing about Massive is that these sounds sound very good in the sound terms. they sound very good on their own. We haven't even used the filters and not any kind of distortion. And filters and distortion are key for making other sounds when you don't have wavetable synthesis as Massive has. But you can still do so many others. If you see here spectrum, this is the spectrum is the frequency content of a sound from bass to treble. It's the ordinary, you know, equalizer stuff. But you can do, for example, formant bending. The easiest way to explain formants is, for example, one person's voice have a specific signature that makes Bono in U2 sound like Bono and not Celine Dion, luckily. But if you would sample Bono and then you would pitch it up, you have what's called spectral transposition. The formants of the voice is moving together with the notes, but when Bono sings, for example, a C flat, his formants are not the same as when he sings a G. That's why you get the squirrel effect or the drunken master effect when you pitch voices down. It's sort of that stuff. But Massive has formant bending, which means that you can push the formant without changing it. For example. And you can also, every little box in Massive, the small black boxes, is assignable for both envelopes and LFOs, and steppers and performers, which I'll show you later. Alright, we'll turn that on together with our other oscillator. It's starting to get pretty beastie. Go a little deeper. This is not suitable for bass in a song, but it's still very good for sound design. For example, you don't do movies very often, at least I don't. I wish I could do more of them. But sounds like this, it's way too deep for notes. You can't hear the notes because it's so deep, because human ears can't. We can hear down to 20 hertz, and when you get close to that, we don't hear notes anymore. We just hear rumble. But we can try to do some notes, and we do in voicing. Voicing is every time you hit the key on your keyboard or in your sequencer, that sends a message to your synth. And every key gets a new voice. It's the same synth, but it's another voice within the synth. But we just want one synth, which is called monophonic. And this is how we can make the notes slide with this, it's called the portamento or legato in Italian. Which you turn it really good. You get that really sliding in. I can try, I can just use a simple beat. Bear in mind that Ableton, the sequencer I'm using right now is called Ableton Live, which I mentioned earlier, and Massive is the synth. Massive is a VST plugin that I've installed into Ableton Live. So I'm going to show you some features of Live as well. Let's just find a breakbeat here. All right, this fits the purpose. Then I'm going to make some dubstep. Right. I'll just remove the snares at the wrong positions and move them over. This is, as you can see, this is an audio file that I'm modifying in an audio track. This is not MIDI, this is not synth, this is just pure audio played directly from the track. Let's go there. And then I just use other parts of the loop to fill out the holes. Okay, it fits the purpose. And in Massive, I make a new. This is a MIDI clip. And you can see that we're getting a lot of movement in our sound, which at least I like. But we want to make some more, even more noise. So we're going to move out to the distortion parts. Distortion is cool. We like distortion. Here is routing. This is pretty complex stuff. This is where you can see the oscillators start here. And you can decide where to go into filter 2, filter 1 or filter 2. And you can place different insert effects. For example, distortion, flanger, echo. You have many different types of effects that you can place into the signal chain. And it helps to have worked with, for example, analog gear or Reason, because Reason gives you a larger understanding of how things are actually connected. So I want one distortion piece after our oscillators, but before the filter, because I'm going to add the filter as well. And I add the hard clipper and I turn it on. And we add another, this is the last stage. This is everything that is made into the synth ends up here. And I'm going to go opt for a classic tube distortion, which is not a distortion as in the old days when people liked, if they wanted to grunge up someone's voice, for example, or a guitar, they could drive the input volume or gain very hard. And because everything was electricity, it wasn't digital as here. When the power current went over a limit, instead of just turning up the volume, the sound gets cut off, and that sounds like shit in digital, but it sounds awesome in analog. And the classical tube is an emulation of that, how you can color your sound with distortion without destroying it completely. Or you can destroy it too if you want, but you have the option to make it subtle. Just sounds more powerful without destroying the sound itself. Drive down. This is maximum. This was maximum drive. Well. We can add another sound just to check out what happens. An ordinary. And we can detune it a little, as I did in Reason yesterday, which actually sounds like shit, so we're going to stay with the original sound. And my favorite in it's the secret chest for many dubstep and drum and bass basses, but it's easy to overuse, is chorus or flanger. It just adds that extra, that extra Decepticon-ish sound. And now this is actually a sound that we can play now. It's not experimental anymore. Just try to draw in some other notes. And the cool thing about this now that it's legato is that you can have one large and long note going at the bottom, and you can feed in other notes, and every time the new note appears, the synth goes back to it, but it bounces down to the original. So we can add in some other extras here, for example. And it didn't actually do what I just told it to do, but that's one of the troubles with using VSTIs. Reason very seldom has problems like that because it's a contained system, and whenever you have, it's like working on your own or two people working together. You add risk of fucking stuff up. Sorry. We'll try to do. We'll just separate it down here and draw in new. Every time notes overlap, when it's monophonic, it will glide over. If I do like this, then it sounds like that. But if I overlap, go back, 16 notes. And then we can go, just for fun, go really high. This is one octave. It's from F0 to F1. And if we go to F2 at the ending, which is really high, let it slide, and then slide back down to, for example, the -1, which is incredibly deep. Can listen to that in solo. The kind of sound, I love that kind of sound. It goes from the top and down. And now I can show you another one. I just duplicated the track. I'm going to continue to working on the same synth, but I'm going to add the pitch bending, which is also a secret in gritty bass design. You can take an envelope and add it to the tone, but then you can't use it for melodies anymore, but you can use it for other cool stuff, which is called a Hoover, at least from the old days. Can you make it go up? Try to go lower. And you can combine sounds that way. It's awesome. And I'm going to try. We have 10 minutes left. And I have, as you've understood, I have a huge love for transformers and industrial design, robots in general. I did some research on how they actually created some of the Decepticon sounds, so I'm going to try to show you. This is also not an exact science, but we'll try it anyway. Now we have a technique which is used very, very, very often, which is called resampling. And resampling is recording the sound. When I hit a key here, the sound is still in the synthesizer. But I'm going to use something called freeze, which is supported in many applications like Cubase and Logic. When I freeze the track, it means that it has written the audio to hard drive. When you, for example, the 1% up here indicates how much processor power I have left, and when you hit 100%, everything disintegrates. But Ableton Live has the feature of flattening, and now I can see my bass like this. I can edit it like an audio piece. and then I can suddenly do entirely new things that I couldn't do in the synth. For example, time stretching it. Just made it 4 times as long. And we're getting there. I'm going to pull it back 1 step. And then I'm going to use, this is actually really cool, it's art by accident. Some of the artifacts are unwanted noises that appears when you're doing, for example, the plugin I'm using now is actually used for removing, for example, wind from a microphone. If you're interviewing someone in bad weather and the wind blows into the mic every time and you just want the voice of the subject you're interviewing. But if you remove it too much, if the sound of the wind and the sound of the voice shares frequencies, when you remove the wind, you will also remove part of the person's voice. And then you see that it remains like a hole in the sound. And I'm going to use these artifacts to do cool sound design instead of unwanted. So I have the learn button here, and I'm learning. Now I just learned this curve you see here is the noise profile that this plugin believes is unwanted noise. Now I'm going to stretch the sample back even more. And it suddenly starts to sound very transformery. I'm going to use a distortion plugin to boost it a little bit. Not this one, but that one. It's awesome. And then and what I love about Ableton Live for sound design is I like this sound, but I want to continue exploring the new sound. So I just make a new audio track. I freeze the track, and then I flatten it. I just copy this, but then I can. No, I can't. Sorry. I don't flatten it. I just freeze it. But when it's frozen, I can still copy it. And here's the new one. And then I can just unfreeze this, and I have the new track down here. And then I can take parts of this again, for example, just the last part, and I can reverse it. And then I can stretch it again. And you can transpose it down, for example, make it darker. You have very, very, very many of the sounds in Transformers are made this way. But I'm going to try a few more sounds here up here. Oh. Sorry, stay back. We can try to do something else. We can add. I just grouped the track. This means that I can take this plugin that makes the Decepticon sound and assign it to multiple layers of sound. For example, along a bass drum. All right. Something darker. Okay, thanks. Now I stretch this as well. Everything is about stretching. When you do time stretching when you increase the length of the sound, you have to add pieces of the sound that aren't there. You have 1 meter of sound and you need 2. Then you need to figure out how to stretch them. And then you often get metallic artifacts because you're adding It's like an oscillator. The sound can get turned into an oscillator itself that generates new sounds. But we usually like this. This is just an ordinary bass drum now. And the synth sound. Stretch even more. And then I can, what's called consolidation. I can consolidate. This means, as you can see, I can go back and forth in the stretching. But if I'm consolidating the sample like this, the sample is new and now it sounds. I've done an irreversible process. So you have to know what you're doing when doing stuff like this, but you could risk losing stuff that you really liked. So always make new audio tracks and take care of your sounds. But now we're going to stretch it even farther. Sounds like something we could use. Cool. Now we can resample this again. Yes, resampling is both as like the freezing. The process is called resampling, but it's done in many different ways. You have in live something called resampling, which is it records everything you hear down to a new track. And this is pretty cool because we can now take some of the other sounds we had as well and just chain them together. And now I'm going to record all these sounds to a new track, the resample track. And if you're working on a machine that has problems with, for example, if it's an old machine which cannot handle multiple instances of massive, for example, or heavy synths like Silent One, Camel Alchemy, you can just delete them and you still have your sound. And now we have two done, which works against each other. And we can try to equalize it a little bit. This is just the fun part of making the sounds. And we can use an equalizer for it gets very easily very muddy, a lot of bass. We can add some treble for more definition. More distortion. The first part is... That's better. And it might even sound better in reverse. Stuff like this. And this can be used, for example, for an effect in your sound, for a takeoff effect or a break. And we can also use, when working with audio, it's you can get incredible sounds of using, for example, this last part, you can almost not hear it. It's very low in volume, but we can add even more distortion to it. And suddenly you have cool sounds from almost nothing. That's the last part I'm going to show you. I'm going to make robot sounds, or at least you have to do a lot of editing when you're pulling knobs and doing all kinds of. You get very the content is very alive, and you have to use audio tracks to cut out little snippets of sound and place them And bear in mind, the next time you see a science fiction movie, an action movie, whatever, every single sound you hear is placed by hand by a human person. Every single sound. And in Lord of the Rings, they recorded 90% of the speech as well. Again, the actors come by and do the ADR process, which is called automatic dialogue replacement. And everything is synced by humans. So it's incredible amount of work, but it sounds awesome when you get to the finish line. And now I'm going to have a closed hi-hat. This sound, this is awesome. Listen to this. Isn't this the coolest thing I've ever heard? Yeah, thought so. Add a reverb. More reverb. Okay, cool. More drive. And now we resample this, we freeze the track. And we can now suddenly edit this as audio and not as knobs on a synth. You have die-hard control. If I want just this piece, I can just drag it over there. If I can zoom in, I want to place it there, no, there. You couldn't do that stuff with a synth or with effects at all. And we're going to add more effects. And this is unique for live. This is called the warp engine. This is Ableton Live's built-in time stretching engine, which is used for both time stretching and pitching samples. So we can, again, stretching is the key for sounds like this. Oh, sorry. I'll turn it down. And we can try pitching it. Sounds very digital. And we have, for example, filter auto pan, which we can use for, let's first drag in. You can draw in the pitch envelope with curves here. And you can do all sorts of gnarly stuff. All the way down and up again. Even faster. And we'll use that for now. And we use this. This is actually used to make sounds move between left and right speaker. But you can also use it to just cut out the sound. And if you do that faster and faster. And I'll record that, and this is also cool. You can do it by hand, both with, you can assign, I can actually show you this. On my keyboard here, I have knobs. And I'll just go into map mode. I press this button because I like it. I turn the knob. And when you watch, now you can't see it. There we have it. Now I'm turning the knob on the synth, but it's moving on the screen. So I can record this live. Just go into record. And you can see it's drawing there. And now I can go into here and edit it if I want to. And let's say that we actually like this. And we freeze it. And we flatten it. And now we have our new sound here. Now we take, for example, if a robot would turn its head really fast, we could take just this part or reverse it. Remove the last pieces. Sound effect, or just the small ones here. Zoom in even closer and make single sounds, which you can place. This could actually be used as a drum, as a hi-hat in, for example, a house track. can take. This one, for example. New track. Down here. Cut out the start part. Add some metallic flanger. Just pitch it down. It hurts the ears, so we do... This is how we work when we're making... And why not just flatten it again to see what we're getting? And oh my god, my bomb, I'm going to stretch it. No. And it didn't want to listen to me at all. Like this. So as you can see, this is not perhaps I don't have nettverk. Å, fytti helvete. Bare lære meg å sitte stille. Vi kan jo se. Unnskyld. Se om vi finner noe mer inspirerende siste klipp på YouTube. Så dere ser hvordan, for de av dere som ikke har sett Transformers, eller generelt bare for å ta en oppsummering. Stemmer det? Det har jeg ikke lagt merke til engang. Ja. Sorry. Når bytta jeg? Kult. Jeg er våken. Is there anyone else in English that speaks English here who wonder what I'm saying? Wonder what I said? I said robots are cool. Sorry. And we're going to take a recap on the sounds because the stuff I did just now. Sound design. I don't actually know which the one to pick, so you can also Google this kind of things and get loads of inspiration. The Fallen. Yeah, we can just watch the trailer and be amused.
B, I want to talk to you about the college thing, okay? Hey, I'm not taking you with me.
Look at this place! I feel smarter already. Can you smell it?
Yeah, it smells like $40,000 a year.
Hey, beautiful. Made you a long-distance relationship kit. I got your webcam so we can chat 24/7.
Sounds cute. I can't
Sorry,
wait.
dudes, this is actually late. We're going to watch the newest trailer, which has cool designs. You might recognize some of the sounds now, after 10 years of loading. Then we can do some stuff, cool stuff again when it's, there it is. Yes, please. My old computer sucks. Poor thing. point. This is the most insane, what should you call it, collage of Transformers sound collected in one place, the announcement trailer. Here it is. Should we watch the entire thing or just the cool part? Yay. Yay or nay?
Forward, drift into the right level. Forward, coming down nicely, 200 feet. 1.5 down. Houston, tranquility base here. The Eagle has landed. Rocket, we copy you down, Eagle. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Eagle, we got you now. It's looking good, over.
Ready to go?
We now have had confirmation of loss of signal from Apollo 11. Apollo 11 is on the far side of the moon.
Neil, you are dark on the rock.
Mission is a go. We have 21 minutes.
The hole has been breached. Extensive damage.
No signs of life or movement control.
Take photos and samples and get them safe home.
You cannot believe what we're seeing.
We are not alone after all, are we?
No, sir. We are not alone.
Now we will listen to every sound designer's wet dream. Turn it up. I have goosebumps. So I hope you heard some resemblance between the stuff I did, or at least tiny. It was kind of messy, but I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much.